The Hope of the World is a local church of Jesus Christ. Healthy churches engaged in gospel mission. And if the local church is the hope of the world, then certainly it's a hope of our nation. Not man-made religion, not a sense of spirituality or politics, the local church of Jesus Christ. This is why national church planting and church revitalization is one of the primary focuses of Emmanuel Global. We are deeply engaged in planting, developing, and restoring local churches all across the country, as well as equipping and strengthening the next generation of spiritual leaders and pastors. Currently, Emmanuel is investing in 11 church plants all across the country, and your faithful and generous investment is bearing a great harvest through these young churches. Let's take a quick tour of Emmanuel's church planting efforts. Andrew Browning in Torrington, Connecticut. John Gibson in New York City, New York. Ken Baker in the Bronx. Robert Martinez in Albany, New York. Anthony Stafford in Schenectady, New York. Donald Savini in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Brian Reese in Franklin, Indiana. Raleigh Hill in Rathdrum, Idaho. John Guy in Tempe, Arizona. Philip Jones in Pasadena, California, and Matt Brunk in Maui, Hawaii. The combined average attendance of all these church plants that we support is over 2,000 people every week. God is doing an incredible work through Pastor Anthony Stafford and Electric City Baptist Church in upstate New York. This church is only 3 years old and experiencing revival. On September 19th, our pastoral team from Emmanuel had the opportunity to attend Anthony's official ordination service as he was set apart for gospel ministry. At this service, Pastor Carey preached and commissioned Anthony and the team there to go forward for the gospel. By God's grace, there were nearly 50 charter members in attendance. The atmosphere was truly electric, and the passion and excitement were evident at the service. Many times over the years, Emmanuel has had the opportunity to invest in Electric City Baptist Church, whether it's financially supporting the church or investing in Anthony and his wife through the gospel leadership events. Emmanuel has been able to help in ways that would not have been possible if it weren't for your generosity.
Hey, Emmanuel Church family, what an encouragement it was to have your deacons and pastoral staff come down and be a part of a great charter service here. Our church was so blessed and encouraged by that, and we look forward to what it's going to be and how God is going to work in the future.
Donald Savini and his family had an incredible year as they were able to purchase their first church building in the middle of the pandemic. God has been faithful to see the gospel move forward in the Cape as Coastline Baptist Church is seeing great spiritual and numeric growth. Pray for Donald and the team there as they fix up the building in preparation for the relaunch this fall. Overall, this has been a monumental year for our national church planting efforts, one that will be hard to top in the future. We had the ability to send over $23,000 of support to these 11 church plants, all for the furtherance of God's kingdom work here in the United States.
Right around the second quarter of this year, we started preparing for the launch of a Sunday service. We weren't sure where we were going to meet, but God provided the space and even provided the finances for the first year of rent. Right now, we're working toward the launch of the Sunday service, which will take place on October 24th. And Lord willing, by the beginning of 2022, we'll have a core group formed that will unite together and establish a church here.
We made a big move as a church this past summer when we moved from a small boutique hotel to the Tempe YMCA. On our first Sunday at the YMCA, we were able to baptize several single adults who had put faith in Christ, and that was just a tremendous time of celebration. We've seen people saved. Even recently, I began a series in Psalm 23 and preached verse 1, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." And at the end of that message, several people raised their hand to put faith in Jesus Christ. Pray with us this fall. We are initiating a strong outreach to our community. And so pray with us about that as we make those efforts and reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ.
We have several people that have been saved, baptized, discipled. I'm currently going through a membership class, and we have another class scheduled with several people signed up for that. I probably have a dozen or so going through the class right now. I baptized 2 on Sunday and more to be baptized. It's just a really exciting time.
God's been doing some amazing things here at Community in the last year. We've seen several families added to the church and growing in their faith. We've been able to share Jesus with many in our community through outreach events, and have got, of course, preaching the gospel both here and online week after week. And so it's been amazing to see what God's doing. We've been able to relaunch our community groups and see people both connected in our church through community groups as well as our serve teams, people getting involved in ministry, maybe for the first time in their lives. It's just been exciting to see what God's doing, and it's in no small part thanks to churches like yours. And so we thank you for that.
I mean, I had a front row seat of the goodness of God, watching him build his church. And I mean, financially, things got tighter. We see all that's happening from, the racial tension and the political tension, and I mean, just all the noise that's happening around us. And yet, I mean, in the middle of that, in the Bronx, in New York City, God is doing something great.
This is just a quick snapshot of what God is doing through your generosity. He is changing lives across the country and around the world. Pray for our church planting partnerships. Pray that God would encourage these pastors, provide for their needs, and give them fantastic fruit for the gospel.